you are new to this channel, you just found this video and you have no idea who I am, my name is Melissa. I am an expat originally from America and currently living in Shanghai. I have 3 kids, wonderful husband, and this channel is typically vlogs of my life and school. I am in school to be a librarian, and yeah, so I'm glad you're here. I wanted to put this video on the internet because when I was looking for my celiac, information about celiac, and going through my diagnosis, I really wanted to find other people that were going through the same thing I was, or that may have a similar story to me. And I'll be honest, I just really didn't find it. So I'm hopeful that my story can maybe help someone else that is going through this right now. Or if it doesn't help you, maybe you just find camaraderie in the fact that I also went through some of these same things. We're gonna go back about 10 years, 11 years. 2013 is when I first started having symptoms. And really it was just bloating, but no like gastrointestinal stuff. I didn't hurt, I never had pain, I never had diarrhea or anything like that. It was literally just my belly was distended and it looked like I was pregnant again. At this point, I had already had 3 babies, all via C-section. And if you were doing research on celiac, you know that C-sections tend to be a trigger sometimes for celiac disease, showing itself. And I had 3 of them. So it was no surprise that I started having some issues. At this point though, I did not have insurance, and so my first mistake was not going to the doctor and doing just a lot of self-diagnosis. Hindsight's 2020, and at the time I was like, oh man, no, I don't have the money to go to a doctor. But now I'm like, why didn't I go to a doctor? I decided to just take gluten out. I had a friend who had also been diagnosed celiac about a year prior, and it was just nice to have information thrown at me. And so I knew from some of my symptoms, like the brain fog and the distended belly, that I probably had an issue with gluten. So I took it out and I thought, oh, it'll be fine, and those symptoms stopped, right? I mean, I was sad because I really love beer and I ate a lot of bread. As a mom with little babies, I was just like, bread, shove it in my mouth, and you're like, okay, I'm full, we're good. It was just an easy thing, right? So 2014, we moved to Germany and it was wonderful. Germany had a lot of options for me there. I was very strict gluten-free. I would even say somewhat celiac, like strict gluten-free. My kids were also gluten-free at the time. They were young and I just kept everybody gluten-free at home. And it made it very easy for me to sustain that very strict gluten-free lifestyle. So fast forward a couple years, we are back in the United States, and I decide that I really want to try to eat sourdough. And so I actually do it a couple different times. At that point in my life, I was homeschooling my kids and I was very much into like the, homesteady type stuff, and wanted to make my own sourdough. I wanted to be able to be in that. And this is like pre-pandemic, right? I had like my own starter, and so I tried it. Unfortunately, I was still having severe reactions and I could not eat the sourdough that I made. So I played around with doing a gluten-free sourdough. It did not go well. It was just a lot of steps. So in 2017, we moved to Fort Worth, Texas, and I was determined to have sourdough. I just really wanted to eat sourdough. And I think for me, if I was able to eat sourdough, then obviously I didn't have celiac disease. I just had a gluten intolerance and I've healed my gut and blah. So I started eating sourdough all over the city, trying to find one. And I did. I actually found quite a few that were tolerable to me. My symptoms had subsided as far as I could tell. It was those immediate symptoms of fatigue and brain fog. I was able to eat this bread that, had the gluten pre-digested for you, right? So for me, that immediate reaction wasn't happening. And we had also gone vegan a couple years prior, and I really do think that that helped heal my gut as well. I just was eating a lot cleaner and a lot more vegetables, a lot more fiber, and I really do think that had a positive impact on my just digestion in general. But I thought, okay, you know, I may not be able to eat gluten, but I can do sourdough. We're good. Like, I don't have celiac. No, no, no. Well, this is when, about 2019 is when things started to go downhill. It was probably 2 to 3 years after I had really started incorporating sourdough back into my diet. Probably a good 2 years. I'd say a good 2 years. And I think looking back, I probably had these symptoms even before this point, but I just ignored them. Brain fog, feeling like I was hit by a truck. I mean, I'll never forget. I remember I had started eating sourdough and I just felt like I'd wake up in the morning and I would tell my husband Brandon, I'd say, I just feel like I got hit by a truck. I don't know what my deal is. Oh, it just hurts. Everything hurts. And so, yeah, I just started having really, really bad joint pain, especially in my hands and my hips. And it was equal on both sides. I thought, oh my gosh, I have rheumatoid arthritis. Holy crap, like what am I gonna do? This is crazy. It was just all the symptoms were there. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard to talk about it because it's like I look back now and I'm like, duh. But had those symptoms, started getting thyroid nodules, things that I had never had before in my life. And then the one that was the worst was just the debilitating fatigue. It was really, really bad to where I could maybe do one thing a day and then I was just wiped out. So now it's 2022, we've moved to China, and I am eating a lot of gluten, like a lot. And the fatigue is still there, it's horrible. But moving here was just really difficult on my body in general for stress reasons, but then also there's soy sauce in everything. There's gluten in everything, I feel like here. If it's not meat, it's gluten. And so I really had a hard time just keeping it completely out of my diet. And then on top of that, I was eating sourdough still. Found sourdough here, found, you know, I even have I have a video on this channel that has me going around trying bread, trying to find the best baguette in Shanghai. Yeah, guys, come on. Like, I was in such denial. It was really bad, but you know, I didn't think I was having that bad of a reaction. So, because it wasn't immediate. But the fatigue, the joint pain, the thyroid nodules, all those things weren't going away. So then I finally went to the doctor. I only have insurance. I was able to go to the doctor, yay! And found a really amazing general practitioner that she just did all the blood work. She was like, okay, let's find out what's going on with you. You've got these symptoms. We don't know what's happening here. So she didn't do blood work for celiac at that point, but she did, you know, we had RA, MS, gosh, all of that, basically a full autoimmune panel done, then a full, you know, vitamins, minerals, iron, blood work, all that stuff done. And it came back that I had almost off the charts low ferritin, which if you're not familiar with ferritin, ferritin is actually where your iron is stored in your body. It's like your iron stores. And so my iron level was low, but it was within range. But then my ferritin was just depleted. And she goes, that's where your fatigue is coming in. That could also be why you have joint pain. We don't know yet. But this is it. Like, this is definitely a sign of what we need to do. So we decided to put me on iron. Had iron supplements for 3 months, and within those 3 months I had, or maybe it was 4 months actually, and within those 4 months I had my blood tested twice. The first time, it was after the first 2 months, my iron had, and my ferritin had increased, but just a little bit. It wasn't enough to say, oh, okay, yeah, you're good now, you're back up to what you need to be and go on with your life. Now, the fatigue was diminishing, and that was amazing. I was like, finally, my fatigue is going away, but I still had joint pain. So 2 more months go by, still on the supplements, very, very strong iron supplements, and we didn't want to do more than that because it's not healthy for you to do that. So go back in for blood work. Ferritin decreased. Like on iron supplements, it decreased. And the doctor's like, okay, yeah, that's not normal, and we need to send you to a gastroenterologist. So yes, I went to a gastroenterologist. I went to see Dr. Akiko. She will never see this video, but thank you so much, Dr. Akiko. You're amazing. She was the first doctor to like really, I felt like she understood me and knew what to do. So we decided, since I had already been gluten-free for so many years, I wasn't eating enough gluten, she said, to say, okay, yeah, that's gonna have a, you know, a result on your blood work or whatever. I want to do an upper GI. I need to go and take some samples and all that stuff. I was like, okay. She goes, so you need to eat gluten for 2 weeks. And looking back now, honestly, that was not long enough. I really probably should have done 6 weeks, but physically, I don't think I would have been able to actually do 6 weeks, because at the end of the 2 weeks, I was literally eating like one croissant, I was eating a croissant a day, and or just some bread every day, and I was spiking a fever after every single time that I would eat. And I was so inflamed. I was so just tired, and I was functioning, but honestly, I don't know how. Like, it was, looking back, I'm like, man, I was out of it. I went in for my upper GI and my blood work, and unfortunately, the lab messed up my blood work. I still don't understand fully what happened, but my doctor was really, really, really pissed. And I obviously was not going to go back on gluten again. She said that we would take blood again in a few weeks, but that it really was not going to be a valid, you know, blood sample, just due to the fact that I would have already been off of gluten. However, my samples, they came back, my villi were fine, is what they said. I didn't have any celiac, you know, markers like in my gut area. I don't know how you want to say that. But because I had been spiking a fever, because of my joint pain, and because of some other things, my doctor just, she would not let it go. She was like, this isn't right. She really felt that because I had been off of gluten for almost 10 years, that was really gonna mess everything up. And she wanted to do genetic testing on me. I went in after being off of gluten. Even I was feeling so much better. I decided to go completely gluten-free from after I had been on gluten for my challenge. Went completely gluten-free, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But basically went back in for my genetic testing, and my genetic testing came back, and I don't want to mess this up, but it came back that you can have, well, I guess you can have more than one, but there's 3 main markers. It's the DQ2, DQ8, and then there's a DQ2.5. And the DQ2.5 is actually only 13% of the American population have this genetic marker, and I did. I had it. So I have it. So that means that my chances of having celiac are so much greater than most of the population in America. And with all of my symptoms and with everything that was going on, my doctor, she said, you know, it's unfortunate because of the samples, I can't give you, like, I can't say, here's your stamp of approval, like, here's your stamp of celiac. She said, unfortunately, I can't give you that, but I am 99.9% sure that you do have celiac and that you need to live a celiac lifestyle. So here you have it. I have celiac. Now, since going completely off of gluten, it has been amazing. Every week I feel better and better and better. It is mid-February now. It's actually Valentine's Day today. It's been about, I guess, a month and a half to 2 months since I've been completely off of gluten, and my joint pain is completely gone. My energy levels are just coming back more and more every single day. It's crazy. I actually go in next week to have another ultrasound done on my thyroid, and just to make sure everything is not growing or getting bigger. But then I also am going to go in a few weeks and have more blood work done for my iron levels and just see where they're at, my iron and ferritin. But I can tell you right now, I know that they are increasing. By simply removing the gluten from my diet, it's allowing my body to absorb the iron that I am ingesting, which I ingest a lot of iron actually, eat a lot of greens and just yummy stuff, tofu. Just know that if you have any question that you might have celiac, do not stop eating gluten. Go to a doctor. Go to the doctor first. If I can tell you to do one thing, please do that. But if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I would love to answer them. And if you like vlogs, you should subscribe. Okay.